Basically, I need all these jackets in my life. These are amazing. How do you turn a fashion flat drawing like this into a photo like this in seconds? And how do you do it without major Photoshop or 3D skills, which take a really long time to learn? Your secret weapon is NewArc.ai. I have played around with a bunch of AI tools like Midjourney and Adobe Firefly, and they do some cool things. When it comes to AI to create photos of your fashion designs with just a few clicks, I have not found anything nearly as good as NewArc.ai. It feels like it is an extension of my design brain. I am super excited to partner with them to bring you this video, but this isn't the first time I've introduced you to NewArc.ai. It was over 6 months ago that I started using it to create 3D renders of my flats. I showed you some demos on how to create this and how to create this, but the truth is I love it even more today than I did back then. They've added some amazing new features and I cannot wait to share them with you. Now, you barely need a tutorial to do this. It is that easy, but I'm gonna show you how to use it because there's a couple tiny tricks that will really help improve your results. Whether you're a freelance fashion designer wanting to communicate your vision to your clients, have your own startup brand and want to come up with a ton of ideas, or work in-house and want a way to create better presentations for your boss, NewArc.ai can help you ideate and visualize your designs, no fancy software required. It is gonna blow your mind. Let's jump in. So it's really easy to get started. We're just gonna upload a fashion flat. I've got this basic t-shirt here, and then we're gonna write a prompt. And the more specific you get with your prompt, the better results you're gonna get. So I always like to start out by writing a studio photo, just because it gives me a really nice crisp photo of a cotton t-shirt with a knotted hem. And I haven't given it any color or anything like that. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of prompt here. I'm gonna say a black and white polka dot cotton t-shirt with a knotted hem. You have the option to change the result with a couple different stylized options here. I like to just choose photo. We'll come down here. We've got the option for creativity level. So if I put this at fully accurate, it's going to follow every single line in my fashion flat very accurately. If I go creative, it's gonna have a little bit more freedom. I like to keep it right in the middle. It's gonna produce 4 images, and I'll go ahead and click generate to render my designs. All right, that took about 12 seconds, and I personally love this option right here. Really fun, really playful. I kind of like the really haphazard polka dot look as opposed to a really specific half drop polka dot. All right, so let's take this in a different direction. Instead of saying really specific of what I want, a black and white polka dot cotton shirt, I'm gonna say a cotton t-shirt inspired by cheetah. Yes, very on brand for me, with a knotted hem. So instead of telling it exactly what you want to do, you want to do cheetah print, you want to do black and white polka dot, you want to do red and blue stripe, you can say inspired by. We can do inspired by the sunset. In fact, let's do that one next. But let's start right now. We're gonna do inspired by cheetah. All right, some really interesting results. I don't totally love any of them. All right, so I made some more renders and I really, really, really love this one. So I'm gonna jump in and edit it. We have a couple different options in here. We can draw a mask, and it works just like Photoshop where we can kind of paint a mask on top of something. So I'm gonna paint on this knotted hem because I want the knotted hem to just be solid like cream. I really, really like these random leopard cheetah spots all over the body, but I want the hem, the knot here to be just the base color of the t-shirt. So what I'm gonna do is we'll change the color material to start. So we'll say the color, we want it to be cream and we want it to be cotton. And we'll say no cheetah print. That's another cool thing you can do. You can do this on the initial render too. You can tell it things you don't want it to do. So if it's giving you a color that you're like, no, pull that color out, you can give it a negative prompt. So we'll change that. All right, we got some really amazing results. So we get 4 new renders on this, and I'm gonna click through. And personally, I think this one looks the closest. The color is a little bit off. It's a little bit lighter than the body. And arguably when I painted it, I painted quite a bit further along the edge, which mucked up the background a little bit. But as far as like a quick mock-up in 10 seconds, this is amazing. And it was definitely easier to do this in here than in Photoshop, I personally think. So the next thing we can do in the editing space is we can remove certain things. So let's say that back neck label is not in the right location, or I don't even want to mock it up with a back neck label. So I'm going to remove that. So I want my brush to be quite a bit smaller. So I'll make it quite a bit smaller here. And we'll just paint over this label. And we'll click remove to generate our new mockup. Boom! It is literally perfect. Seriously, could not have done that faster if I was using Photoshop. So some really, really powerful tools in here in the editing. The cool thing here is you can always jump back to your original. It's sort of like layers like we get in Photoshop or Illustrator. So if I want to maybe give it a different prompt, I can come back here and I've got my original layer with the painted area. I can always change this from the brush to the eraser to come in and say, you know what, I brushed a little bit too far, and I'm gonna clean that up against the background so that I don't muck up the background when I do the render. So just some really simple tools to super dial your design in. I've got more to show you, but if you're so excited because this is just a mind-blowing tool and you wanna jump in, I've partnered up with NewArc.ai to bring you this video and to bring you a special offer. You can sign up and get your first 10 images for free and 50% off your first month using the link below in the description. So check that out, but keep watching, I have more to show you. Now, I love NewArc.ai because it is such a fast way to ideate, to come up with things you never would have thought of. It literally, like I said earlier, feels like an extension of my design brain, a major secret weapon. We don't have to spend hours mocking up design presentations or trying to communicate our vision to a client who I know sometimes some people have a hard time interpreting a fashion flat and visualizing like, what is that actually gonna look like in real life? Okay, so I've uploaded this fashion flat, which is colored like a soft pink, and of course it has little cheetahs printed all over it. And so what I'm gonna write here, when I upload a color fashion flat, I wanna give it a prompt and I wanna specifically tell it the colors in the design. So I'm again gonna say studio photo, and maybe we'll do a linen t-shirt this time. We can change the fabric. Linen t-shirt with knotted hem, light pink with cheetahs. And again, we're gonna leave it as a photo. We wanna turn this on to enhance the color guidance. And we'll go ahead and click generate. Boom! These look amazing. I am so impressed. I'm not even sure which one I like the best. I'm thinking this one. Let's click through. It looks really, really good. I'm barely even seeing anything that I want to change. I am gonna make my brush a little bit smaller, and there's like a weird little fold that's happening there. So I think I'll just hit regenerate, and we'll re-render that one tiny little portion. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That little weird crease is completely gone. Again, if we want to take the label out or something like that, honestly, I don't see much more that I want to change here. So I'm going to go back to the project, and I'm just, all right, we're going to do a couple more just because it's so fun and I love making these photorealistic renders. So I'm going to say a studio photo of we can say maybe a polyester t-shirt with a knotted hem, inspired by the sunset. Okay, we don't have any color guidance on this one because we don't have any colors, and we'll generate to create our mockups. All right, some really cool design ideas, definitely like a dip dye sort of situation here. I like this one a lot. I might wanna like take the background out because it's to me a little bit visually almost overstimulating. We lost the entire inside back neck, which I just realized as I was in the middle of talking. But some really, really great options. We could regenerate off of this. Maybe if we don't want, I was gonna say we don't want orange, but that's basically the sunset, right? So I'm not sure I would put any type of negative prompt on this. Quick side note about everything that you do in NewArc.ai, because people have asked me this question before, but all of your work is private. They do not use your designs and your styles to train their AI, and everything you do is completely protected and private, so don't worry about that. All right, so arguably this t-shirt design is pretty basic, right? We did the black and white, we did the color with the cheetah print, but let's look at a garment that's a little bit more complex. I've got this jacket here, and arguably this is a pretty stylized detail flat. We've got a lot of zippers, we've got some maybe rib details on the sleeves and on the side panel, and we've got like a fur collar. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say studio photo of a black leather jacket with black fur collar. And I think that's what we're gonna do. We've got our advanced settings down here, which is what I mentioned to you earlier, where we can put a negative prompt in here. So if we don't want, let's actually do this. Gold zippers, and what do we have on here? We've got zippers, we've got snaps, and then I don't want any silver. Let's generate our mockups. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely perfect. So we got I think it's making, at first I was like, oh, it took my leopard cheetah sort of idea from earlier and put it in the collar, but I think it's actually just like black base on that fur. It's gorgeous, that jacket. I need that in real life. This one is cute. It like kind of put that rib detail in gold on the sleeves. And then we've got these two renders, but that was literally 12 seconds and it interpreted, I mean, if we look at this flat, it's just got like basic lines for the ribbing and it really interpreted that really, really well into the photo, into the 3D render. Now, let me just tell you, I started teaching Adobe Illustrator way back in 2009, specifically Adobe Illustrator for fashion, and we could not do anything close to this with Illustrator or Photoshop or any of the fancy tools out there. And like I said, even the 3D tools that exist, they're very powerful and they're great, but the learning curve is really, really steep, and it takes a really, really long time to mock up anything like these renders that we're getting in seconds with NewArc.ai. Now, if you're wondering, does it just do garments? The reality is no, it can do shoes and bags and sketches of really anything. It's designed and it's really pushing into fashion, but you can kind of toss anything up in there. So I've got this shoe. I'm not a footwear designer, but I've got this shoe and we'll say studio photo of an athletic sneaker inspired by, I'll give you guys something a little different other than cheetah print, inspired by the ocean. I just moved 5-minute walk to the beach, so this is really on my mind. So we'll just say inspired by the ocean, and I'm gonna just start. I don't like to put a negative prompt in there to start personally, and I'll just see what we get. And then if it starts putting in like colors or some design element that I don't like, then I'll drop that into the negative prompt and re-render my photos. Okay, arguably some amazing designs and some stuff that I might not have come up with, right? There's this interesting like wave texture here in the side panel. I don't know the words for the different panels on shoes and stuff. But we could make this a little bit more accurate. We could arguably make it a little bit more creative, right? We left it in the middle and it did add some additional panels to the shoe, arguably which are very relevant and accurate to what we might see in real life. Like again, I'm not a footwear designer, but I don't see anything in here that's too impractical. So some really, really great designs. Again, the sky is the limit. This is your secret weapon to ideate, to communicate your vision, to make sure you don't send something into production that you're like, I think it looks good in the flat, and then it comes back and you're like, yeah, no, that's not really what we had in mind. That didn't translate very well to an actual garment, because I know we've all experienced that at least once in our fashion careers. Now, the cool thing that I mentioned a little bit earlier in the editing feature where you can kind of go back and get back to your previous edits, it saves all of those sort of like Illustrator layers. You also have all of these designs that you've ever rendered from the past. And it's really cool because when a client or your boss is like, we need to revisit that thing from 3 weeks or 3 months ago, you've got it all here and you can always come back. You can edit it again, you can download it, you can upscale it, bring it into Photoshop, make some changes, continue to regenerate off of that specific idea and keep pushing that forward. So everything is saved directly in the cloud-based tool. There's no software to download, you just go right to their website and use the tool. I hope you are as wowed about NewArc.ai as I am. Every time I use it, I'm continually like, wow, it is just amazingly cool. I'd love to help you get started. You can get your first 10 images absolutely for free. Click the link below and you'll get 50% off your first month. We've got a couple different plan options that are super affordable for you to take your fashion flats, your sketches, your loose designs and ideate, turn them into renders, take the repeating pattern design and mock it up on the garment in literally seconds. It's so cool and so powerful. So thank you again to NewArc for sponsoring this video. I'm really excited to bring you guys this tool. I only talk about and share things that I truly believe in and use and really love, and NewArc.ai is absolutely one of those.